Hey Ram fam, it's time for Ramzone. Now to our host.
Well, hey y'all, welcome to this week's Ramzone. I'm your host, Katie Scholl. Today we have with us head baseball coach, Coach Kevin Brooks. How you doing today?
Good, Katie. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, we're really grateful to have you. So first, I want to get to know you a little bit better since it's our first interview together. So what started baseball for you? How did you ever get in touch with the sport?
Oh, started playing it probably, in the backyard with my dad. Started playing t-ball, I think was the first organized stuff when I was 7. We started a lot later back in those days. And then baseball, all the way on up, played, all the sports, football, basketball, baseball, just sort of what was in season. As I got to high school, it became quite evident that baseball was probably the one I was best at. And so sort of went that direction. It was weird, but I would say as a youngster, I liked baseball. I mean, it was great and all that, but one of those sports probably really didn't get a great appreciation for probably till like teenage years and stuff like that, where it became, wow, this is great, type thing. But I think it's one of the games that grows on you the older you get.
Right. So did you always know you wanted to be a baseball coach?
No, I thought I wanted to be a basketball coach,
Really?
to be honest. I mean, and I went to school as a business major, so I guess I didn't know I was coaching. And then ended up majoring in political science, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. But always, I've been around coaches a lot. My dad was a professor. He was a management professor at McLennan Community College there in Waco, and so the coaches there were always really good to me, and got to be around those programs a lot. And like I said, definitely had some interest in coaching as a young kid, and so I kept the rebound chart on the basketball team, and I had career day. So went with the baseball coaches for that, and so I guess maybe I did, in the back of my mind, but you know how college is, and I don't know if any of us really know what we're, where our paths are going.
Right.
But anyway, but that's sort of how I got started with baseball and coaching.
So do you have any coaches kind of still to this day you still kind of take things from, or, that really inspired you?
Oh, absolutely. The two coaches at McLennan were Ken DeWeese was the basketball coach. Rick Butler was the baseball coach. Dub Kilgo was assistant there, and then they're now retired, but they're people that I learned a lot from and stuff that I still use and still talk to them. And then I would say, as an assistant coach, as you're working your way up, you're lucky enough to get to work under some really good people. And so those are Mark Johnson at Texas A&M's one, Steve Hine, and Danny Heap at Incarnate Word, Steve Coleman, who was at Hardin Simmons. They're things, I don't have a lot of original ideas, so most everything's stolen from somebody that I've been around or seen something that I like that I feel like could help us.
Right. Well, that's really awesome. So I know you've been at ASU for a really, really long time. What kind of keeps you coming back here?
Well, a lot of things. First of all, our community of people, and I'm from Texas, you're from Texas.
Yes, sir.
It struck me I'd really never been to San Angelo in my life till I came here, and so the first 3 months or so I was here, I was like, man, these people are just so fake. It's over the top.
Right.
How nice they are, and then you're here for 4 months and 5 months, and you're like, no, that's just how they are all the time. Texans are friendly, but it's a different level here. And so that's one thing, obviously, so appreciative of. I like winning. And we have a chance to win a national championship every year. We've got the facilities, the school, the resources in order for that to be an obtainable goal. And so it makes it a lot more fun. and had lots of opportunities to leave, and I'm happy. So the real good advice I got from one of those coaches I mentioned was, don't mess with happy. So I've tried not to mess with happy.
Right. Well, and a lot of people, talk about, if you love what you do, you won't really work. And
Right.
so
That's for
really
sure.
awesome. You get to hear about that in our really awesome school that we have here.
Yes.
And so kind of getting into this season, will you kind of tell us about y'all's most recent game against A&M Kingsville?
Well, it's a really big series. We're sort of sitting in good position. We'd like to have been in a little better position, but approached that series. We had 20 games left, so we're about 60% through the season. It's sort of jumbled right now amongst the conference leaders. We were right there, and so our next 12 games are against teams that are in that mix. So Kingsville being one, St. Edwards this weekend, and then we've got West Texas back at home the next weekend. And so it's a great opportunity for your team because you control it. We control whether we go win those games or lose those games. And so anytime you can be in that position and you don't have to worry about somebody else doing something for you, yeah, you feel better about it. And so came out on Friday night. The weather was miserable. It was cold, it was windy, and it rained. So we decided, hey, what better game to play 14 innings instead of 9? And we lost. We lost a heartbreaker. Made a mistake late, and it cost us. And so now there's still 3 more games left, and that's probably the thing I'm most proud of. And I think it's one of the things that baseball teaches you that you can transfer to life is, bad things happen. Things don't go always the way you want. You're not perfect and not going to be perfect, but you got to get back up and you got to go, you have a bad day at work, whatever. You flub this interview, you still got to go do another one, right? And so learn from that and then go be great the next day. And, baseball's great that we generally get an opportunity pretty quick when things don't go great, or even if they go great, that's gone and you got to go forward. And was so proud of how we came out and we won the next 3 games and responded. Whereas you could let that hangover, come over and affect the next day. And we did a good job. I think we learned from what we didn't do correctly on Friday, and then put that behind us. And today's a new day, and let's go win today, and did. And so those are so valuable, I think, character things. That just a little bit, and you try to add to those as the season goes on, and then by the end, hopefully you're a pretty resilient group, and nothing shakes you, and you're able to hopefully achieve some special things. So that's still the goal, and I thought it was a very good response that we had after a tough loss.
So how do you kind of coach that response? Do you think it's something that your players just kind of already know, it's kind of what you look for when you recruit them, or is that something that y'all are talking about after?
I think I think it's both. I think like with most things, there are a lot of different factors that come in. I think hopefully we try to recruit guys that do have a little bit of that in them. Sometimes we're correct, sometimes we're incorrect, but I still think it is something that can be taught and that can be improved upon. And so, I think it's something we talk about from the very first day they get here in the fall and reiterate. And, I think when the games start counting, so we get into the season and, we got a scoreboard for a reason. It tells you you were good or bad that day. I think the lessons become more magnified, and so they think you're talking crazy, in the fall when you're just practicing and inter-squadding. And in the spring, I think it becomes a little bit more real, so I think the lesson's easier to learn. We're by no means there, but I feel like every little day and every little setback, I think makes you stronger. I mean, I always say that I've never had anything good in my life happened from good stuff. It's always been from bad stuff, and I think that's when you grow and you get better and you figure out, hey, you know, I can do some things to hopefully make this situation better, and try to go do those things.
Right. So how do you kind of say your team's performance has been overall this season? I know you said you're kind of, not exactly where y'all want to be, but.
Well, I mean, it just as far as the Angelo State baseball standard, we've been well below, to be honest with you. Having said that, we're hanging in there, and again, this team's story isn't going to be written till the last page, and so we just try each day to go get better. But we've dealt with a lot of injuries, which is part of sports, and something you've got to be able to deal with. So I think the one thing, the very positive part of it, is it has definitely been a team effort. I mean, we have used every person on that roster at one point or another, and they've been forced to step in and trying to fulfill a role. We're real young. We start 4 freshmen a lot of the time, and that's a lot. And so they're having some growing pains at times, but we've done enough, and that's the one thing. It really just comes down to, here's what I'm really happy about. We're really happy with we're getting way better at competing. We're getting way better at being tougher. We've got to get better at the baseball things. And so that's the part I'm not happy with, that we've just been below our standard. But, we're going to keep working and try to get to that standard. Having said that, we still found ways to win a lot of games. But if we don't address some of those areas, we're gonna get bit by the end. But, today's hopefully the day that happens.
Right. And so when you say kind of focus on the baseball things, is that what y'all are doing, during your practices during the week? Kind of what does y'all's typical week look like?
Yeah, so generally typical weekend, we'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we generally take Monday off, sort of heal up, get in the training room, get caught up on school stuff, all that stuff. Tuesday's generally pretty light practice. Wednesday would be a pretty heavy day, and then Thursday it's not light, but it's not heavy. It's sort of in between, then we go play. Excuse me. But yes, trying to, our strikeouts offensively. I mean, we've struck out more than ever here, and that's something we got to get better at. You got to put the ball in play. I'm not the smartest guy, but I feel like your chances of getting on base go way up if you do that. Just knowledge of the strike zone. Pitcher's got to throw more strikes. I mean, it's just a lot of baseball things. Which we've got a great staff, and in the past we've been very good at furthering people in their game and help them improve on those. And so, we have seen improvements, but we still need to make a lot more.
So back in high school, I played basketball, and I always heard the thing about basketball IQ. Is that kind of something that feeds into baseball as well? Is that something y'all try to teach? Watching film and things like that.
Yes, your baseball IQs are really smart, and this you get me going on a long soliloquy here.
That's okay.
We saw it coming about 5 to 7 years ago. That it's based on our youth system. It's changed, right? Pretty much probably everything you did was probably organized, I'm guessing. You had a coach there. You told you what to do, all that stuff. Now, I'm sure you played pickup basketball because everybody does, right?
Right.
But baseball is not something, there's a lot of pickup baseball.
Right.
Okay? So everything they've had has been formal, is how I would describe it. There's not a lot of informal learning going on. And with the select baseball model, which is sort of where we've gotten, so you pay to be on this team and you go travel around the country and play. They're not coming in with the baseball IQs that they came in with 5-7 years ago, due to just they're playing, not practicing as much. And so a lot of those things happen in practice, they happen in games, but a lot of these teams, you may live in Lubbock, you may live in San Angelo, but you play on a team in Dallas, and y'all meet in Georgia on Wednesday and go play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everybody goes back to their respective towns.
Right.
Then you come back. So you're just showing up and playing games. And it's way more individually centered rather than team centered. So the team aspect of, this is what it's all about, the team, not me. That's a huge message that's been increasingly more difficult to get. But our guys, to their credit, I think are really buying in. But so yes, our baseball IQs now compared to 5 years ago, where they're starting at is less. And so yes, we're trying to spend a lot more time on that, and it takes sometimes a little longer to get the message delivered than what you'd like. But you just keep repeating yourself and saying the same thing and being consistent with the messaging, and eventually it clicks, and then when it does, it's a beautiful thing.
And so you said your boys are kind of better, I guess, than some about being a team and kind of having that team player mentality. Do y'all do anything outside or off of the field to kind of get that, team dinners, things like that?
We do. It's an interesting discussion on lots of things. So our players they're current or returning, we put a lot on them as far as, your job is to reinforce the things that the program has done and do that, and then also make sure we're a close, cohesive group, and have synergy, which is the sum is greater than that of the parts. And they do a fabulous job with that. But it's more informal. So I know there are a lot of coaches that will go on a retreat, or we'll go bowling, or we'll go do that. I think this is just one guy's opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. But I think when it's informal and natural, it's more effective than the formal thing. So we do things. Our minister of culture, Manny Campos, I know he had a karaoke night a couple of weeks ago.
Were you singing karaoke as well?
Oh, yeah, I'm really good.
What's your go-to song?
I would say, Living Color. Dadgum, what's the name of the song? It's off the Vivid album. You gave me fortune, you gave me fame, you gave me power in your God's name. Cult of Personality. There you go. I had to get to the chorus.
I get that.
That one is probably my go-to.
Right.
Anyway. So, do you even know that song?
I do not.
Yeah, it's back in the 80s.
See, I know a lot of 80s, but not that one.
Yeah. Danny Glover, do you know Danny Glover,
Heard
the actor?
name.
Okay, his son, Corey Glover, is the lead singer for Living Color.
Do your boys know that you like to sing a lot?
Yeah, because they're around me. So, and yeah, they know lots. My office is in the locker room, so yes, which I think is the greatest thing, because, I'm a little different. I'm a way different person on the field than I am off of it, and so I think they get to see how goofy and I'm just like everybody,
right?
A normal person. I have my quirks, and they get to see those, and I think it helps understand. Look, love you. I want the best for you. On the field, though, I am a different person, but really competitive, and I want the best, and I expect the best, and that's the level we're going to go at.
So if I see a baseball player around campus, I'll just ask him about their team bonding through karaoke. Yeah,
you should. Yeah. I didn't go, but Manny said it was good.
Well, that's good. So your boys are all pretty tight-knit, and I think that's a great thing for the team.
I think it is. It's huge, because, we spend so much time together. That's one thing. It used to be, my children were little, now they're big, but I just always, I spend so much time around those guys. I was like, I'm not going to recruit guys that I don't like, even if they're great players, just because, one, back then is I didn't want my kids I wanted them to see people that I wanted them to emulate. I don't have young kids anymore, but it's still the same thing. I want people that enjoy being around each other and that I enjoy being around. Hopefully you make those around you better every day from just being around them.
And so you kind of talked about like the team camaraderie of having some of your guys come up and the older ones kind of taking charge of getting everybody in there. How big is that kind of leadership role on the actual field?
Huge. It's huge, and we graduated 18 guys last year.
Oh, wow.
So there were fewer in number returning, and that's been something that has been difficult to fill, and you go back to, again, another coaching thing on, do you have captains? Lots of sports have captains. We used to have captains, quit having captains about 6 or 7 years ago. Again, just sort of trying to get the natural leadership, whoever's the leader, emerge. And we've had a couple of guys definitely step up in that role and on the field and off the field, and have done great. And so, and it just continues to get better, and I think it'll continue to get better in the season. I think the results will hopefully continue to get better as well.
And so, what have you liked so far about how the way your team has competed this season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we've had our share of adversity, from the fall to just injuries, and then had some tough losses. We've had tough stretch there 2 weeks ago. I think we lost 5 out of 6, and that just doesn't happen here. But how they have responded to the adversity gives me great hope for the future, and then just being proud of them and how they're growing. And so that's probably been the biggest thing, just how we have handled the adversity we've had, and we've had lots of it. Especially the injury thing has really been, as soon as we get somebody back, oh my goodness, now here we win another one, and we got to solve that one. But we haven't flinched, kept pressing forward, and that's always a really good sign.
So kind of call back to this last game. You said, y'all played the 14 innings. How do you kind of mentally prepare your guys to be in those high-stress situations?
Well, and we do talk about that a lot, because baseball is such a mental game. I mean, you've got a lot of time to think, and that can be detrimental at times, or it can be a positive. But, our guys spend countless hours, and you count, when they were kids, and I mean, how much time have they spent in their lives working on their craft in baseball? And, it's sort of, the Masters is coming up in golf, and we use this analogy, you got a 12-foot putt at the Masters to win the Masters. Why are you nervous? Like, you put yourself in position, you got a 12-foot putt to win the Masters. How awesome is that? Pressure's there, but it's how you look at pressure. And so, I mean, this is why I went and hit 2 hours in the cage. This is why I went and took ground balls of my own. This is why I went and lifted. This is why I've done, look at all and not only have I put in the time, I deserve to be successful. Number 2, where was I going with that? Deserve to be successful, but I'm prepared. I mean, again, they're not throwing anything at me then, and so I'm prepared. I deserve it. And why did I go do all this if it wasn't for this moment? And that's one thing we sell guys on coming to Angelo State. You want to play in big baseball games? It's a pretty good place to come. And if you're going to play it, why not play in big baseball games? And I think that's one reason we've been able to excel so much in the postseason. But that's something we start, way back first day and really never relent on.
And so what should your fans kind of expect from the team the rest of the season?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Hopefully we continue to, traditionally, this is sort of the time of the year you'll see us starting to sort of escalate our play and get a little bit better. I don't know that that's going to happen for sure. I mean, I can never say that, but that's our hope. We're going to play hard. I hope every time. I hope that is a guaranteed, and go compete. But, I hope we start seeing some little jumps in some baseball areas, as I talked about that we've got to improve in. And then, you see it's just a little bit being able to handle the adversity a little bit better and get a little bit tougher and a little bit more competitive and all those things. And I feel good that we're starting to see that. I don't think we're a finished product. I hope we're not a finished product till the last game. It's crazy. This is a crazy year, so it's fun as a fan because it just keeps. It's very topsy-turvy. This weekend again is a really big weekend, and we could see. We hopefully go have a good weekend and continue to climb. But we're in good spot and hopefully finish strong.
Right. Was there anything else you kind of like to add about this season in particular, or just Angelo State baseball?
No, the one thing, we got a home series coming up. April 10th is the next one against West Texas A&M, and the Clydesdales are going to be here. The Budweiser Clydesdales. Okay. And I think they'll be the game's at 6:30. I think the Clydesdales are there like 3:30, 4. Okay. You can go out and see them. I've been trying to talk them into. I want to ride in, on the Clydesdale before the game. Maybe put a bald eagle on my shoulder. But they're balking right now. But I'm going to keep working and see. Have you ever seen a real Clydesdale?
I don't think so,
I've not either. But I think they're like 12 feet tall.
Well, maybe that's something that fans should come and see the game so they can see if you really ride in with the bald eagle.
And maybe some Leonard Skinner Freebird playing.
Freebird, you got to put $20 in the tip bucket for that.
There you go.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming out today. And thank you all so much. And we will see you next week.